Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to really cut through all the noise in the jewelry market and just give you some pure insight into valuation.
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive into professional jewelry appraisal. We're going to focus on gold and also, the very high stakes involved with precious stones.
And it is so crucial because the financial gap, I mean, it's just enormous.
It's a huge spectrum.
Yeah.
Our sources point this out. You could be holding a $1 rudite garnet, or, you might have a $10 million alexandrite in your hand.
Wow. From pocket change to a life-changing fortune.
Exactly. And that difference is precisely why getting professional knowledge is it's non-negotiable.
So when you look at those numbers, you start to realize that knowing what you own isn't just a fun fact. It actually dictates your whole financial strategy.
Right.
Our goal today is to really meticulously unpack what a professional appraisal or evaluation actually entails. So whether you're looking to insure something, plan an estate, or maybe sell a piece, understanding how this works, it puts you in control.
And we've got a really interesting kind of three-dimensional view of this world. We're drawing on reports from gemologists, certified experts.
Okay.
We also have perspectives from serious gold investors, and then the practical, boots-on-the-ground insights from experienced pawnbrokers.
So we're getting the whole picture, the lab, the market, and the street corner.
That's the idea. We'll see how value gets assessed from every angle.
Okay, so let's just, dive right in. We'll start with the most basic question. Why do people even need a professional valuation? And maybe more importantly, where should they go?
Well, the why almost always comes back to financial security. For most people, jewelry isn't just decoration.
It's an asset.
It's a dormant asset, exactly. And if you're selling, especially something like a high-end diamond, you have to understand that the secondary market, it's structured for the buyer to profit. You should really prepare for a loss compared to what you paid at retail.
So knowing the true certified value of the stone is the only way to minimize that loss then.
It's your only leverage. It's how you negotiate effectively.
So you really have to focus on the return on the asset itself and not get, hung up on the emotional investment or the original price tag.
Precisely. And honestly, the financial return is almost always better on the intrinsic value of the stone or the metal than it is on the beautiful, intricate design of the setting.
Because the buyer is paying for the materials, not the memories.
Not the sentiment, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So beyond selling, you've got the long-term protection angle, right? Insurance, estate planning. What do our sources say about that?
Well, historically, owning physical gold is seen as a crucial hedge against financial volatility.
Mm-hmm.
A crisis. I mean, look at the U.S. dollar. It lost a third of its purchasing power just between 2000 and 2012.
A third. That's huge.
It is. And gold is seen as a stable store of value when inflation is hitting hard.
And our sources mentioned a really specific historical event that highlights why jewelry is such a unique crisis asset.
They did. Back in 1933, President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 6102. It basically confiscated most private gold in the U.S.
Right.
But gold jewelry was explicitly exempt from that law. That's a really powerful historical marker. It shows that knowing the value of your heirloom gold provides a type of crisis insurance that, paper assets just can't offer. You're choosing security over liquidity.
So if we accept that the stakes are really high, the next big hurdle is finding someone you can trust, an expert. We've all heard horror stories. What are the steps to finding a good buyer or appraiser?
It starts with the basics. The research, but you have to go deeper than a quick search. Look at comprehensive online reviews, Google, Facebook, Trustpilot. You want to see the reputation over time.
Okay, but what else?
More critically, I'd say, look for professionals who show a long-term commitment to their business. Do they offer things like aftercare service, free cleanings, service packages?
That signals they're not just a fly-by-night operation.
Exactly. It changes the whole dynamic from just a one-off transaction to an actual client relationship.
That's a great point. And for really specific pieces, like antiques, the requirements for an appraiser are even stricter.
Right? They are, yeah. If you have antique or vintage jewelry, you absolutely need to find an expert who has a fully qualified gemologist on their staff.
And why is that so important?
It's a technical reason. The major certification labs, like the GIA, the Gemological Institute of America, they often require that the diamond be removed from its setting to grade it properly.
And nobody with a 100-year-old heirloom wants it taken apart.
Nobody. So a staff gemologist is trained to work with mounted stones. They can give you that crucial valuation without damaging the integrity of the piece. That skill is just indispensable.
Given how hard it can be to find someone qualified and trusted, let's talk about where people say in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, are finding those top-reviewed buyers. And actually, this part of our deep dive is sponsored by a highly recommended local resource, Allen Gold and Silver Exchange. They've built their reputation on being a top trusted jewelry buyer and seller in Texas, and they're backed by consistent 5-star reviews.
Yeah, Allen Gold and Silver Exchange offers really comprehensive appraisal and buying services. They handle diamonds, antique jewelry, gems, precious metals, gold, luxury watches, you name it. If you're in Allen, Texas, and you need a reliable, trusted assessment, they are definitely the place to start.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the valuation itself.
What's really fascinating here is how professional valuation it dissects the object into two fundamentally different things. You've got the metal, which is a commodity. Its value is based on mass.
Right.
And then you have the stone, which is this unique piece of geology based on very specific characteristics.
Let's start with the metal then, gold. The first factor has to be purity.
Correct. We measure gold purity in carats. So you hear 24 karat, that's almost 100% pure, 99.99%. But pure gold is actually really soft.
So they mix it with other metals.
Right, for durability. Most jewelry is 14 karat, which means it's about 58% pure, or 18 karat, which is 75% pure.
So a buyer's first step is to figure out the actual gold content by weight, what they call its scrap value.
Precisely. If you're selling, say, a broken gold chain, it's being bought for its weight in troy ounces, discounted by that carat purity. And this is also where buyers have to be really careful to distinguish real gold from gold-filled jewelry.
Which is much less valuable.
Much, much less. Gold-filled items only have a thin layer of gold on the outside. Our sources say they often sell for only about $1 a gram. The amount of actual gold is tiny.
And I found it really illuminating to understand the difference between the market price for gold and what you actually get paid. It's not a one-to-one thing.
Absolutely not. And that's a critical point for any seller. The price you get paid has to account for the buyer's profit margin, of course, but also this whole chain of costs to turn that piece of jewelry back into pure bullion.
So things like melting it down, assaying.
All of it. Melting, assaying fees, refinery costs to purify the metal, brokerage fees to sell the final bar on the commodities market is a whole process, and every step costs money. That's why a seller usually retains around 86% of the listing price.
And on top of all that, the professional buyer has to be a bit of a detective.
They have to be. Counterfeiting has gotten very sophisticated. One of the more famous scams involves drilling out the center of a gold bar and filling it with tungsten.
Tungsten.
Yeah, tungsten. It's brilliant because it has a very similar density to gold, so it mimics the weight perfectly. A professional has to use specialized density testing, or X-ray fluorescence machines, to check the inside.
Wow. So gold valuation is all chemistry and math. But stones.
Yeah.
That's a whole different world of specialized knowledge.
It really is. And this is where we get into the foundation of diamond appraisal, the 4 C's.
The 4 C's.
Yes. We're talking carat weight, color, clarity, and cut. If you don't understand how those 4 things interact, you can't possibly understand the value of your stone.
Okay, let's break those down. Carat is just weight. That's simple enough. But color, clarity, and cut, those feel more subjective.
They can be to the untrained eye. So color is the degree of colorlessness. It's graded on a scale from D to Z. A D grade is absolutely colorless, which is extremely rare, and drives that investment value.
And clarity.
Clarity is about the imperfections or inclusions inside the stone. That's graded from flawless all the way down to included. And then cut. Cut might be the most important C of all. It's what determines how the stone plays with light.
And how does that framework connect back to what you said earlier about rarity versus beauty?
It's the perfect illustration. Rarity is defined by perfection on that scale. A D-color, flawless stone with a GIA report is a rare investment piece. But beauty. Beauty can be achieved through an expert cut. A stone might have a slight inclusion or a lower color grade, but if the cut is magnificent, it will just explode with light. It can look even better than a technically rarer stone.
Which makes getting that certification absolutely critical.
It's paramount. Reputable dealers will always recommend certified diamonds, usually from the GIA or IGI. If a diamond doesn't have a certificate from a reliable lab, the seller is going to face a much bigger loss.
Why is that?
Because the buyer has to factor in the cost and the risk of certifying it themselves, or the risk that it's been misidentified entirely.
So how do they confirm what the stone actually is? How do they spot a real diamond versus, say, a moissanite or a cubic zirconia?
They use multiple layers of verification. For a high-value certified stone, they'll look for a microscopic laser inscription on the edge, the girdle, and check that number against the lab report.
And for fakes?
They use both high-tech tools and some surprisingly simple tests.
Like the old fog test?
Yeah, the fog test is a great example. A real diamond disperses heat instantly, so if you breathe on it, it stays clear. Moissanite disperses heat much more slowly, so the moisture from your breath will condense and fog it up for a second.
That's amazing. What other tricks do they use?
Well, they use special optics, like an ASET scope, to look for inconsistencies in the cut. With moissanite, they look for something called stumpy arrows.
Stumpy arrows.
Yeah. See, moissanite is less dense than diamond. So to make a 1-carat moissanite look as wide as a 1-carat diamond, they have to cut it deeper. This deeper cut creates optical distortions that look like short, stubby arrows when you view it through a scope.
That is a level of detail that just screams expertise. Now, what about lab-created diamonds? They're chemically identical to natural ones. How do they tell them apart?
This is a really fast-moving area of appraisal.
Yeah.
While there are definitive lab tests, professionals often look for subtle differences in the elemental makeup. Earth-created diamonds often have trace amounts of nitrogen in their structure,
Okay.
and that nitrogen causes them to fluoresce, to show a uniform blue glow under a long-wave UV light. Lab-created diamonds usually don't have that specific trace element, so they don't glow in the same way.
So if we connect all this technical stuff to the bigger picture, an appraisal isn't just about the raw materials.
Not at all. It's an assessment of the entire piece's marketability and its integrity.
Which brings us to the value of the design itself. I mean, does a big designer name like Cartier or Bulgari really add value beyond the gold and the diamonds?
Oh, absolutely. Design and craftsmanship can drastically change the final valuation. An expert isn't just weighing the metal, they're assessing the complexity of the undergallery, the quality of the setting. A beautiful, complex setting takes way more skilled labor than a simple 4-prong mount.
And the brand name adds to that.
The brand name adds substantial market value on top of that, yes.
We also looked at the pawnbroker perspective. They offer a kind of rapid appraisal for a cash loan. Their process seems driven by a totally different incentive.
It is. A pawnbroker uses guidebooks and experience to assess value, sure, but their business model relies on the interest paid on the loan, not on selling the item.
So their focus is on marketability and, interestingly, the likelihood that the customer will come back for the item.
Exactly.
Well, hold on. If their business is interested, why would they want items the customer is likely to get back?
Because that's the ideal scenario for them. Their goal is consistent, reliable interest income. They would rather you pay back the loan with interest so they can lend that money out again. A top-quality set of golf clubs, a popular Rolex model, things people want back.
So selling the item is just their plan B.
It's their safety net. And if they suspect an item might be counterfeit or stolen, the risk is way too high.
That makes sense. An extremely low price would be a huge red flag.
A massive red flag. It suggests the item is either fake or stolen. Pawnbrokers will turn down an offer if they're suspicious, and they always require valid ID and ask questions to confirm ownership.
So the importance of choosing the right buyer, the right appraiser, it just can't be overstated, especially when you need immediate cash or you're dealing with a family heirloom. And again, if you're in Allen, Texas, and you need that reliable assessment, or maybe you're looking to trade in a luxury watch, Allen Gold and Silver Exchange is the highly reviewed place to go. They appraise so many different valuables and offer immediate payment. And if you're not even sure you want to sell, you can just give them a call at 469-403-8356. So at the end of the day, what does this all mean? Our deep dive shows that a professional valuation is so much more than just putting something on a scale.
It's a comprehensive process. It involves certifying the metal purity against the live commodities market.
Right, and then rigorously verifying the stone's authenticity using the 4Cs framework.
And deploying specialized equipment to check for fakes and forgeries.
And then accurately assessing the market risk and any added value from the designer.
Exactly. And being armed with all this knowledge, it puts you in control of the transaction and makes sure you get the most value for your asset.
Which raises a really important question for you, the owner. When you look at your own jewelry, can you truly distinguish the investment value of rarity, that flawless grade, from the emotional value of just pure beauty, the perfect cut?
And maybe more fundamentally, how much financial value do you place on the paperwork? That GIA report that verifies your stone's identity and its journey, those certificates, they provide certainty in a very uncertain market. And they are literally worth millions when you look at the price difference between the smallest and largest certified gems.
Knowledge is your best accessory. If you have gold, diamonds, or luxury watches in Allen TX and you need a trusted valuation, immediate cash, or you just want to trade, call the experts.
You can visit Allen Gold and Silver Exchange at 550 S Waters, Ard Suite 164 in Allen TX75013, or just call them today at 469-403-8356. They are recognized as a top trusted jewelry buyer and seller in Texas.